What legends are connected with Bayanaul National Park? What can rocks look like? What do tourists feel in the oldest mountains on the planet? All this in the new episode of Welcome to Kazakhstan project. Bayanaul National Park is one of the most ancient wildlife areas, as if time has stopped here millions of years ago. There are many legends and tales that are associated with the mountains and lakes of Bayanaul. Let's try to find out the most interesting of them. This is Welcome to Kazakhstan project. My name is Zakirjan Mamlutov. Let's broaden our horizons. The landscape of Bayanaul is very ancient. This is what fascinates the guests of the park. Local mountains were formed back in the Paleozoic era, when there was not much flora and fauna on the planet. Such ancient mountain ranges are quite rare. Except for Bayanaul, they are preserved in Great Britain and Scandinavia. Only the Ural Mountains are older than all these systems, and even then, not by much. Who knows what had been happening among Bayanaul stones over 500 million years of their existence. In Soviet times, Bayanaul National Park was created not for beauty, but to preserve rare endangered species of animals and plants. Our main goal is to monitor the safety and development of rare animals and plants, that is, to preserve the local nature in its purest form and leave it as a legacy to our descendants. Hunting is strictly prohibited here. Thanks to this, since 1985, the population of rare species of wild animals has been preserved and even increased. The same thing happened with local flora. There are about 48 recreation areas. There are no sanatoriums. Tourists from Pavlodar, Karaganda, Ekibastuz and Aksu often come here. On behalf of the President, Bayanaul National Park entered the top 10 tourist zones of Kazakhstan. Now we are developing ecotourism, that is, horseback riding, biking and hiking. We do our best to clear the area of all kinds of garbage. On the territory of the park, there is a department for tourism and environmental education. I work there myself. We inform tourists about rare species of plants and animals, explaining to them how important it is to preserve them. We have 13 tourist routes in total. Route number 14 is pending approval. The routes cover such sacred places as the mausoleums of Mashhur Jusub Kapeyev, Kanira Uliye and Sultan Mahmud Toraygurov. Since the territory is especially guarded, both tourists on foot and cars are under close control. One of the wonders of Bayanaul are the bazaar rocks. The most famous ones can be found near Lake Jasibai. For example, the Naizatas rock or the spear stone. This object is associated with such defenders of the Kazakh land from the Zangars as Jasibai, Oljabai and Kabanbai Batars. True, the name of the mountain is not so heroic among the people. More often it is called simply Bulka. Another amazing rock is called Kempertas or Baba Yaga. The irony is that if you look at the rock from one side, you will see the profile of a young girl, if from the other, an old woman's face. There is a legend that a beautiful but capricious girl lived in a neighboring village. She contacted evil spirits and began to steal horses from the Batars at night. Once, the warriors managed to overtake the thief when she was half hidden under the ground. But then the sun rose and the witch's head turned to stone. But most of all, the legends are associated with the highest point of the Pavlodar region, Mount Akbet. Literally, the name is translated as white-faced. Some believe that in this way the people immortalized the beauty of Bayan, the heroine of the epic that came from East Kazakhstan.
По другой версии, во времена не столь стародавние...
According to another version, in not-so-ancient times, the beautiful Akbet Burkutbayeva lived at the foot of the mountain. Her father did not allow her to marry her beloved, forcing her to marry an old Bai. And then the girl climbed to the top of the cliff and jumped off. A sad story, the plot of which, unfortunately, is so often traced in Kazakh legends. If you decide to stay in Bayanaul itself, then you should visit the museum of the most famous native of these places, the outstanding geologist Kaныsh Satpayev. The exposition presents about 1,500 objects and documents related to Satpayev's life. You can learn about how he managed to discover the world's largest copper deposit, look at personal belongings related to childhood in Bayanaul. Kaныsh Satpayev was born on April 12, 1898 in the village of Tenduk, present-day Satpayev rural area, Bayanaul district, Pavlodar region. He spent his childhood there. His father Imantai was a very authoritative and intelligent person. He spoke 3 languages fluently. Kaныsh Satpayev is the first academician of the Kazakh Academy of Sciences, established in 1946 in Almaty. He worked there and headed it. In 1926, he graduated from the Tomsk Technological Institute. He began his career in Zheskazgan, was engaged in geological research of the territory. He made a huge contribution to domestic science, in particular to the discovery of the Zheskazgan deposits. Despite a dizzying career and high positions, he was a very modest and simple person. His education and versatility was surprising. He could talk with representatives of different spheres of science in their own terminology. Besides, he was fond of music.
Алғанда жаңағы сонда бастап, оның соңында жаңағы зерттеу жұмыстарымен айналысты.
Еще до того, как Satpayev...
It turns out that even before Satpayev devoted himself to geology and became known to the entire scientific world, he served as a people's judge right here in Bayanaul. And here he wrote the first ever textbook of algebra in the Kazakh language. Everything here is covered with legends, even ordinary roads. For example, the path connecting the lakes Toraygur and Jasibai. They say that a certain Taspas decided to take possession of the auls belonging to his relatives, and he went to war against the family of his sister, whose name was Kagirshin. She learned about the battle late, and in order to somehow hinder him, she turned into a dove and flew to the place of the battle. Next to her, the carnage stopped, weapons fell out of hands. The legend ends like this. The fight stopped, and the dove Kagirshin and the greedy Taspas turned into stones that are clearly visible from the road. But passers-by bow to the stone dove only. The fauna of Bayanaul is quite diverse. The red book Agali lives in the mountainous zones. Predators, wolves, foxes, lynxes are found in the forests. The steppe is dominated by marmots and hares. On the waters of the park, bird watchers will be able to look at the Dalmatian pelican and the great heron, the crane and the bittern. The mountains are inhabited by shelduck. In total, there are more than 60 species of birds in the park, including birds of prey, steppe eagle, eagle owl, black-headed gull and others. You can get to Bayanaul only by bus, taxi or a private car. The nearest town with a railway connection is Ekibastuz. It is only 100 kilometers from Ekibastuz to Bayanaul. You can also start your journey from Pavlodar. The road to the destination will take 4 hours.
Древние курганы,
Ancient burial mounds, holy places, beautiful lakes. Bayanaul National Park gives its guests such a scattering of amazing locations so that they want to come back here again and again. And every time you will discover something new for yourself. This is Bayanaul. Welcome to the tourist pearl of Kazakhstan.